Welcome back to Trek Central. I think we're live. We are. Yes, we are live.
I think so. Live and alive. Last I
Live
checked.
and alive. Nice to see you, Father. Nice to see you, Trek Central audience. How's it going today on this Sunday?
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day. Sunday Lower Decks fun day. Ah!
Yeah, a bunch of American football games on, but the real action is here on Trek Central Live.
It's true. It's true. We are not going to be covering the football games, but if the Niners play, the baseball team will cover it. No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
It's like you're talking about like the 49ers or something. Got it. Okay.
There's also those
That
ones.
was a Deep Space Nine reference, y'all.
It was. So how's your week, Father?
Pretty good. It was a stressful week for me, but the weekend has been a lot of good like decompression time, some good rest and relaxation, like this episode of Lower Decks is all about. And I got some fun stuff going on. I just picked up not only the new Lower Decks comic that came out this week, just got back from the store, but I also picked up some of the 4K Blu-rays that just got released. The motion picture box, like the big box that came with like every version of the movie in 4K, and then 4K versions of Star Trek 5 and Star Trek 6. So I now own all of the original 6 Star Trek movies in a 4K disc format. So that's cool. And yeah, and been having fun just celebrating Star Trek with all of my cool online peeps like yourself. But what about you?
Having a really good weekend talking Trek. This we just had our Lower Decks chat over on Starfleet Boy. It was a lot of fun. We got a lot of interesting comments. I'll bring some of that stuff up here because I'm sure you'll have some thoughts on that as well. But I'm so excited because every week we seem to get more exciting news about Star Trek. So we have some of that to share as well as talking about Lower Decks.
Yes.
Uh-oh, we have a thunderstorm, by the way, and I just heard like my power supply clicking, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna stay on the internet. You might be solo for a second until I come back, Father.
Oh yeah, that good old reliable Florida electricity.
So terrible. It's so terrible. I do have a backup, but if the internet goes out, I can't do anything about that.
Okay. Well, if
Um,
you vanish suddenly, we know that everything's okay, and hopefully that doesn't happen though. Hopefully
yeah,
we
hopefully it
have a
doesn't
smooth
happen.
ride. It's like passing through an ion storm, y'all. It's like I might get a little choppy, but hopefully everything is okay.
I might come back as Mirror Me, who knows?
Yeah, them ion storms. That is the easiest way to cross universes, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this episode of Lower Decks. We talked about it on Text Trek on Friday, and I've had time to think about it, so I've mellowed out on some of my hot takes. How about yourself?
Well, we covered it Friday on the Text Trek stream, which is also available to listen to as a podcast wherever you get your podcast. But I did not like this episode as much as the other ones this season. However, I still had a good time with it. Sometimes Lower Decks gets a little too silly, a little too goofy, doesn't quite feel like it could really happen in the Star Trek universe that way. And that bugs me when it happens, but if I'm laughing at the jokes, I tend to go along with it. And this episode continued to do my favorite part of season 3 so far, and that is use what we know, the established history of these characters, not only for the source of story, but for the jokes and the gags. And like a lot of the things, especially last week in episode 3, when we see kind of like their fantasies and their nightmares and their dreams and all of that, but even more so here, it's the characters themselves are driving the narrative or driving the jokes. Things like Tiana and Shax, on the it wasn't like a callback to something else in Star Trek. It's not like they're there in a Dixon Hill program or a Sherlock Holmes program or an Irish village or something. Trying to remind us of past Star Trek. Instead, it was like, oh yeah, look at these two characters. You know what they might do on a date? Something like reenact Bonnie and Clyde on the holodeck. So I love that now that we've established this cast, this ship, the Cerritos, it's being realized and brought to life even further by showing us very natural looks at what these people are doing, and I've been digging that a lot in season 3. I like it.
Yeah, me too. And I especially tuned in to this episode, and I think the reason why it's my favorite so far of the season is because I really felt there was this like sweetness to it that like came with the characters interacting, and like the moment that I, keep going back to in particular is like when they're just kind of like tired and resting for a moment, waiting for that door to open because it only opens at like whatever, what was the interval that it opens at, like once every like 10
It
hours or
opens
something.
for
Yeah.
10 seconds every hour. Like
Every hour
that's
or something
kind of
like
silly. Like you're telling me these engineers, these Starfleet geniuses don't have a way to bypass that. What would be the point of that? But I guess they don't want any like
They didn't
record of
have
them tampering with
Rutherford.
that.
They didn't have Rutherford
Oh,
with them, so
Rutherford would have
would have totally
hacked
hacked
his way through it, but
it through it. Yeah, he could have bypassed something or whatever. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. But regardless, that like moment when they're just like chilling out, waiting for this thing to open, and they're like imagining what they would
Hmm.
say to welcome people into their quarters and stuff like that,
Right,
was
right. I liked that.
yeah, that's like kind of special, and it's kind of like Lower Decks is doing something now. Like you said, it's relying on the universe, but also relying on its own kind of universe, like, and it's like starting
Yeah,
to
on
flesh things out. Yeah,
what it has established itself. Like it's embracing its own identity.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Hey, Father, Joel in the audience was mentioning that they like the comic for LDS is so great, Herbert's,
Yes.
and you just picked that up today, so you'll have to let us know
Yeah,
what you think when you read it. Yeah.
I'm hoping I can flip through it and give it a read later tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll be cool. It's so cool that Star Trek is so engaged in like comics. Like there apparently
There's
there's
a lot
also,
right now.
yeah, and I think we saw like there's a Strange New Worlds comic that apparently is going to deal with Pike trying to help out Una for her trial in next season. So and then there's like tie-ins to Picard coming up too. So
Right there's a Stargazer miniseries coming out right now that's set between seasons 2 and 3. IDW just put out Star Trek number 400, kind of celebrating their 400th issue of a Star Trek comic. They've been doing Discovery stuff continuously over the last few years. Not continuously, but they've been doing a number of Discovery miniseries. They're also about to launch a new ongoing starring Captain Sisko, and it'll be might be the first exploration of Cisco like returning. I don't know if the novels ever gotten to that. I don't think they have. Maybe someone correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it'll be an exploration of Cisco after he's come back from the wormhole and dealing with some big universe shattering events. So that'll be cool to give that a read.
you might know this, but I'm curious. I think Star Trek 2009 had the first kind of like comic that tied in somehow to the story that was going to come on screen. Had they done that before that? Like, was there like stuff that tied in that you can
No,
recall or that you know of?
well, I know like the DC comics in the 80s were kind of like influenced with the movies, but I think they were normally like they were reacting to whatever the last movie was. I don't think they were like preparing readers for the movie that's about to come out, which like the countdown, the 2009 countdown did that. And there was also a countdown into darkness for Star Trek Into Darkness. And then there was a countdown to Picard for Star Trek Picard. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
they definitely,
it's a new tradition, definitely for sure. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, they've been working pretty closely with IDW over the last few years, and yeah, a lot of the stuff has been really good. And I was actually when I was at the comic shop that my Text Trek co-host Dave manages, I was just talking to him about Star Trek comics earlier today, and yeah, it's the most Star Trek comics being printed at the same time I think that have ever been printed right now. With the ongoing all these multiple miniseries, it seems like every show gets like a miniseries now, so. Very, very cool. If you are a comic reader, or if you would like to get into comics, if you're a Star Trek fan who's never like really messed around with comic books, now's like a great time to experiment with that medium. I think there's some great Star Trek stories being told right now.
Yeah, I agree. And also, shout out to Aaron Harvey, who got to publish a few covers for Star Trek Discovery, was it? And then also, yeah, it was for Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, he's done variant covers for several things
Yeah, for
throughout
several
the year.
things,
You
that's
know
true.
what? This is a weird tangent, but I'll just go on to it because we don't have Jack here to like give us all these weird tangents to go on to. So I'll just manufacture one of our
You'll
own.
do one. We'll do
But
this. Shout out to
love you,
Captain
Jack.
Jack.
I was doing some serious house cleaning, I think last weekend, and I had like this massive stack of books on my dresser next to my bed, which I'm embarrassed to say like the stack of books had been there for like a couple of years. Like I hadn't worked my way through all these books. I'm like, okay, like I need to like clean up this clutter. And between a couple of the books, I found an issue of Star Trek Green Lantern, like the crossover miniseries that they did with DC several years ago, and it was a variant cover by Aaron Harvey. So
Oh, that's
our friend
awesome.
Aaron Harvey. I thought that was really cool. So I'd like take a picture of it and send it to him. Like, look what I found. But yeah,
That is
clean
very,
y'all's
very cool.
rooms, folks. You never know what you might stumble across. So
Going back to this episode of Lower Decks, also, audience, feel free to ask us stuff that you're curious about in Lower Decks that you maybe didn't. Father and I, between the two of us, we've watched it like 700 times already this week, so we probably might, we might be able to shed some light on things. But what about Goopy, Father? Like, have you come around to my theory about Goopy, or like just not maybe being Murph, but being a Murph type species, like whatever Murph is?
I'm very confident that is 100% not going to be the case.
Why? Why?
Just the way that these things work, I think that, these shows are written like years ago and then like they're animated and then by the time they do like the voices and everything, I don't think that we've gotten to a point where we can see that level of synchronicity between Lower Decks and Prodigy. Just I felt like yeah, they probably created Goopy long before Mike McMahon had any idea what Murph was going to look like. He might have heard, oh, okay, I'm Prodigy, they're going to have this character called Murph, but I don't think that they were lining things up back when this episode was written.
We're in season 3 though, so we've had like time. Like maybe he talks to the Hagemans and Aaron Walkie and the writers. I don't know. I don't know. But what did you think of Goopy in general? Just the whole gag. And do you think Goopy's gonna keep showing up? Is this Tendy's pet?
It'd be weird if this was just kind of a one-off thing, right, that we never see again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she did this as like an experiment in her lab, like how she made the dog. Like Tendi just likes to make her own
Oh,
pets,
that's
I
right. I
guess.
forgot
So
about that. Yeah. You know what's funny? The
can I
last time we
point
saw
something else out that
Nadosian,
they
the last time we saw Nadosian was one of was Tendy's previous experiment. Wasn't dog part of that
hmm.
the farm
Yeah,
plot? And
so
now
yeah, much
Goopy.
ado about Boimler. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think
now
that
we
was
have Goopy in
season one,
this one.
episode 6, I think. But yeah, so
Hmm.
whenever they have to go to like an Edosian specialized medical ship, Tindy's gonna have a new pet.
A new pet. I do think we'll see Goopy again. I'm hoping we do. And I'm gonna continue to be suspicious of Goopy and being a tie-in to Prodigy.
Well, we might learn the origin of Murph sooner rather than later based on the clip they were
Yeah,
showing recently.
yeah, it's true. Let's see here. Joel says we watched it 47 times. Yes, actually, we watched it 47 times between the two of us. Goopy found the Delta Shift treachery. Goopy is a Beta Shift hero. That's true. Goopy did leave.
Beta Shift Hero.
That's true. It's true.
So there are there 4 shifts on the Cerritos.
I think there might be, right? If I guess if there's a Delta, if there's a Delta Shift, we don't hear about what would be after Delta. What is
Lambda.
the Lambda? Oh yeah, Lambda Shift. That's right. Yeah, we only go up
Or
to
wait,
Delta Shift.
is that um yeah, yeah. Yeah, Greek letters.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think there are only 4 shifts. It would make sense. How long is a so in a 24-hour period you could have
Oh, you could do 3 shifts a day, and then like someone has like their day off,
yeah.
and have like a rotating shift like that. Like someone's working graveyard, someone's working the day shift, someone's working the swing shift, and then somebody's off.
Our
I used to
our
work at a aluminum smelter that had like it was like a 4 shift schedule like that.
What shift were you on?
Well, I was on crew. We called them crews, not ships. So I was on crew
What crew?
two.
Crew two. So you would have been beta.
Yeah. I
Oh
would.
wow, look at
I'm the
you.
original beta shifter. Yeah. OG baby.
OG beta.
You know what's funny is I
um
worked there from 2006 to 2008. So when I worked there, there was like no Star Trek at all coming out. Like I went
oh
to work
that's
there
so
right after Enterprise, and I got laid off when it shut down right before Star Trek '09 came out. So it was like in that dark time of no Star Trek.
it was dark times indeed. What was on? What were you watching? Battlestar? I think Battlestar was on during that time, so you
Well,
might
that
have
was
seen that.
yeah, BSG, and that's also when Doctor Who returned. So
Oh,
that was
that's
going
right.
on,
That's right.
and
Uh,
um,
Daniel Seo in the audience is mentioning that he loved the throwback to Mass, and that was my one of my favorite parts of this episode. It was just a little bit, but it kind of set up what was to come. Like that's what really wore out the engineering team when they had to reconvert the ship from the DRC archive look back to its
you
normal look
know,
and stuff like that.
I picture Mike McMahon of watching Masks and just being like, somebody had to go like convert all of this Legends of the Hidden Temple redesign of the Enterprise back to being normal, right? Like someone has to do like that work. So I feel like that was like one of those kind of like notions that he had, when he was conceiving the idea, the concept of Lower Decks. He talks about how he would sometimes watch Star Trek and wonder about those types of things and wanted to tell a story of those people. And his original pitch to Alex Kurtzman, this is back when he was thinking Alex Kurtzman just wanted to do mainly 23rd century stuff like Discovery, but he was talking about the little cards that they would plug into the computer on the original series to get food out of the food slot. And he said, like, I want to do a show about like the people who like have to configure the bananas to come out of the food slot when you stick the yellow card in there. So yeah, I feel like he was probably watching Masks and be like, yeah, like we need to see the story of the people who have to fix all of this.
It's so true. It's so true. But what it like I definitely got the vibe that like it was more of a like, Mass is an interesting episode because I've loved it since I was a kid, but I've known like most people don't really dig that episode. It's not like necessarily like a hatred for it like with
It's fair to call it infamous.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
it's an
it's
infamous episode for sure. But like, I was surprised that like hearing the folks that don't like it, what they don't like about it, because those are all the things that I love about it. Like, I love the fact that like Brent Spiner plays like 17 different people. We just watched Fistful of Data's on your Patreon stream, and I loved seeing him do the same thing in that episode. So I guess I personally really dig that kind of performance stuff, but I can see how it like maybe not everyone's bag. But
yeah,
what
and I
did you
think
think?
some people can't handle
Okay,
the silliness of seeing like when they're actually like wearing those masks and
I love
stuff.
it.
But
I love
I mean,
it.
sometimes Star Trek does look silly. I mean, that's been a tradition from the very early days on. So that Lower Decks has certainly embraced.
Oh, Daniel's asking, I work night shift. What would that be? Unfortunately, Daniel, I think that's Delta shift. You might be on the Delta shift. Like,
Oh,
so,
say it ain't
well,
so. I like Dan though.
yeah, we like you, Dan. I think we should move you to like would it be Charlie? No, what would Beta? Not Charlie. It would be Theta, right? Theta shift. No, I don't know my Greek.
The Greek alphabet would be alpha, beta,
I
delta,
was doing
gamma,
Charlie like if it's like the
lambda.
military codes. There we go.
Well, no, because
Thank
then
you.
you wouldn't have beta. Then it'd be alpha,
Yeah,
bravo. What is it?
Bravo. It would have been
Alpha,
Bravo shift. I
bravo,
like
Charlie,
Bravo shift.
delta, echo, foxtrot, golf.
Wow, you
So
know
that's
all
the
those.
NATO phonetic alphabet, not the Greek alphabet. They're very different.
Thank you, John Da, helping me. I love that the audience always helps.
Hey, John, what's up? Yeah, we have a
It's very
great
nice.
audience here. Oh, and see, my dog was reminding us, Amos. Sorry, he's named after an Expanse character, not a Star Trek character. But yeah, he's reminding us he's in the audience also. So
Nice. Also, it was interesting how both the Dojans. It's interesting how the Dojans seem to have like some kind of hand in like rehabilitation or therapy or something like that, and also that they were quite different. Like the first Edojan, what was his name in the in
Does he ever get a name? I think he's
I
just
think
like
he
the
does.
captain of the Osler.
The
I
Oslo
might be
captain.
wrong. Maybe our
Our team back
commander in
here.
chief behind the scenes, yeah, like our chief engineer. Maybe he can inform us. But as far
We
as
have
I
a
know, he
team. We
was
have
an
a team.
unnamed character. Dojins are weird though. Can we agree on that? Like they're freaking weird. Like remember when he like freaked out and smashed his table when Boimler like ratted on everyone? and
Yes,
and then
and
like this one too is also very has her own brand of
she was stress smoking.
idiosyncrasies.
She was like stress
Yeah.
smoking, right? Like she was like, "Have you ever?
Don't
Did you
know
ever
what she
smoke,
was
father?"
smoking, but she lit up
I think it
something.
was either. It's safe to say it was probably snake leaf. That's
Yeah,
like
I've
the
I've
thing in
smoked
a
I've,
cigar,
I've
or
I've never
cigarette, or
smoked
two.
anything that looked like that. But yeah, I've had some cigars, some cigarettes. And we have confirmation from our
Oh,
from our
no name.
engineer that that character was this one gets a name though.
Yeah, that's Taz. We got Taz in this
Pause.
episode. Yeah, Taz is pretty cool.
But
So
she's
but
also very, very weird.
she's also very weird. Did Eric's
And
lose his cool
Eric's
in
is he's kind of a weird dude.
He's weird, but did he ever lose his cool in the animated series
I
like
don't
that?
think
Did
so.
he ever
Like
get like
he got high and played the guitar when the Harry Mudd's love potion affected everyone, I think. But he, he didn't he was mainly kind of a Chekhov Sulu type. He just sits at his console and just says like we're approaching the planet, Captain, and stuff like that. Like he we never spent too much time with Eric's on the animated series, but I can see him being a bit of a weirdo himself.
Yeah, yeah, I
Just
agree.
that
It
that
is nice that
design cracks me up. That they like doing the Adosians in the animated shows, but it's such a complicated creature. Just like the face is so like jagged and detailed, it's going to look very like different from like every angle. So that's like you have to come up with all these different angles for it. That's hard on animators. And then like how do you animate someone like walking and like doing things, grabbing things if they have like three arms, three legs? Like you have to put like so much extra thought and work into everything. Like normally animation tries to like simplify stuff like that, but just for whatever reason they were coming up with the Adosians back in the 70s. They're like, we're gonna make it the most complicated life form possible. And I like that they're being used again in lowered. I would love to see one of the live action shows try to present an Adosian. Perhaps we shall see that someday.
Yeah, I agree. The audience is pointing out that there were only 3 shifts on Enterprise D until they
Mm-hmm.
added the fourth
Jericho.
shift. Yeah, so Jellico.
And everyone
So
gave him a hard time about it.
yeah, so that's why Delta Shift has a bad rap, because maybe the
You
standard's like
know
a 3 shift thing.
the more different shifts you have like that, like shorter your actual working day would be. So that's kind of a good thing. Like Jellico should not get hate for that. It's like, oh yeah, he's trying to give everyone like a shorter work day. Like bravo, Jellico.
That's actually a good point. I never thought of that until now. I'm inclined to agree with that. That's very cool. I think they should also only have 3-day work weeks, but get paid for 5 days.
Well,
Well, they
I
don't get
think I
paid.
should have a 3-day work week, but
So this episode double downs on the no money concept, and like Mariner's kind of like, what's that? Like silly, like how did people ever use silly paper that's has meaningless value and stuff
I
like that.
did like that. Yeah, like her dismissal of the paper currency of old. However, I did think it was a little odd that Boimler didn't know the word bank. Like the word
Punk.
bank comes up a
Called it.
lot, not just in like financial banking, but like memory bank, or like a if you're banking something, as in like you're storing something. Like that's that's not a uncommon word, in other uses, but
Oh, Bank of Betazoid is mentioned, and I guess there's the bullion banks
no,
too,
that's
right?
Bolian banks.
Yeah, bullion
They
banks.
mentioned the banks of Boleus a couple times.
Right.
So yeah,
So yeah.
banking takes place in other part, not on Earth, but other parts of the Federation, perhaps. At least with the Bolians. But oh
So yeah,
well.
he should have known what a bonk was. I mean, sorry, a ban. I said it
Well, you
wrong.
don't
Like
even know,
I
apparently.
don't
So
even know. So, I Boimlered that
this
one up.
21st century man doesn't know.
I boimed it up. I think that's a good term. Instead of using bungle, maybe we could say like I boimed it up.
Um,
Like when
although
you
the that meaning might be redefined because this episode also reminds us that we have bold Boimler this season. So maybe
yeah. So
maybe
do you
he's
think
gonna go
Boimler
boldly.
audience, I'd like to know what you guys think too. Is bold Boimler sustainable? What do you
Yes, not if
think?
you ask Mariner. I think. Oh, my dog wants to chime in again, but I think that they might actually build up to a Icarus flying too close to the sun type story of like maybe he does go too bold at some point and he learns to have like a little bit more restraint. He's like, okay, I learned to be bold but not too bold, and that's my growth for the season. Or I don't know, maybe he
That's pretty
dies and
cool.
then they bring in the other Boimler from the Titan. I mean,
Do you
they do
think
have
they
a
teased
replacement
about it in
Boimler,
this?
so killing him is an option.
I don't want them to kill Prime Boimler. That would be so bad. But do you think they were setting that
They're
up because
both
they mentioned?
prime. They're both in the prime
Yeah, it's
timeline.
true. They mentioned, but I
But
mean, like
Bradward
yeah,
and
Bradward versus
was it William or Thomas?
William. I think he was
Yeah,
William
William.
Boimler,
Yeah, because he's
but
trying to kiss
also
ass to Riker.
he's also known as Bucephalus Dagger, apparently or
Yeah, we'll be getting to that.
someone's
I
known
don't
as
know what
Bucephalus
episode that
Dagger.
is. I think that might be episode 8, perhaps. I don't know, but like it looks like we're gonna get a sequel to Crisis Point, except this is
Yeah.
the Boimler movie instead of the Mariner movie. So like Mariner's fantasy was just like to go crazy, just come onto the ship like a Khan like supervillain and go nuts. Boimler wants to be the heroic captain.
Of a
So
sovereign
that'll
class
be
ship. What was
interesting.
it? What was it called again? I can't remember the
Uh,
name of the ship.
oh
It
yeah,
was like something like
the
the
sovereign.
Fairweather or the Fairview or
Yeah,
something like that.
the Wayfarer.
The Wayfarer. Thank you. That's actually a cool name for a ship. Actually, now that I think about it,
Yeah, that
Wayfarer.
if I heard that, if I just heard that word mentioned somewhere, I'd be like, that'd be a good name for a Starfleet ship, now wouldn't it? So
Yeah,
that's
totes.
cool.
But yeah, I worry about that because I feel like they were dropping a hint about Boimler's death in this episode at the end when she's like, yeah, in the future we're all when they're like talking about it, like, yeah, in the future we're, Tendy's gonna is eminently gonna get promoted, and you're gonna die from being
Yes.
Bold Boimler.
Yeah, she'll be a
Like,
bridge officer. I'll get drummed out of Starfleet, and you'll be
yeah,
dead from being
exactly.
too bold.
Too
I did
bold.
laugh out loud at that. That was a line that made me laugh. That was one of my favorite little moments. And then also another one was just Tendi is such an incredible sweetheart. And when she's
Yeah,
trying to save Mariner and Boimler from their acid trip in the hydroponics bay, which by the way was animated beautifully, but
yeah, that was so good.
when she had to get aggressive and kind of like beating them with a stick, especially Mariner to like get her to go. And Mariner's like, I'm sorry about the whole egg thing. And then Tendi is just so like, even having to deal with like all that hardship, Tendi is just like, and I'm sorry for making you hatch. Like she like was sincerely like apologetic, and I don't know, she's just
That was so,
a real sweetheart.
but not just that, like poor Mariner, like she was like, it's okay, it was warm in there. Like she like it was just like the sad, like it was like the saddest I've ever seen. Poor Mariner. It was like really good. Well, we talked a lot about our lower deckers, but what about Rutherford and the engineers in this episode? What do you think of the? What do you think? Do you feel like your way of relaxing is more like Captain Freeman's or more like those engineers?
I don't like
Like,
a
have you ever
big
gone to
part
get a
of.
manicure or a pedicure, Father?
I've never done either, but I mean, like, there's other things I think I would rather spend my money and free time on. I would rather do a stream on Trek Central, for example, or perhaps read a
Dang.
Star Trek book. So,
I do like a
no, I
good
like my.
a massage. Have you ever had a massage like at a spa or like at a massage
Like,
parlor?
I think I've given a lot of good massages, but I never get one.
Oh. Oh, you have the magic hands? We might have to
I
set up
don't
a
know. It's
booth
like
at the next convention, like the fathery massage.
I mean,
Get a
I've had like a lot of
massage.
I've had a lot of like like partners that have asked for like a good massage, and then like I'll give one and try to put
You
like
should
all of
get
like my
one.
like like all of my man strength into it to make it like really intense, and then I'll be like, okay, my turn, and then I get like the wimpiest like little like girl hands like barely
Oh,
pressing on me. I'm like, okay, this is not gonna help, so just
you
stop.
should go and get one.
We're
You
not
should
getting
get like
anywhere.
a deep tissue
I know I need like
massage.
a
Like,
professional. I need a
yeah,
professional who like knows what
100%.
they're who can like really like get in there and like work it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because I do
it's
have
the
like a
best
lot of
thing ever.
like my back, my neck, my shoulder. It's always like real tight and tense. So I probably would benefit from that.
What would your armband be like not right now. Right now it's green, but like on average, what is your armband at? Is it yellow? Is it is it red or is it
Probably
like
yellow.
green?
I'm a little type A. I'm always like, okay, I need to like plan out everything. I have like this much time for this much time for that. Need to get this done. Oh no, I've been sitting down too long. I need to go take care of this. So yeah, I think I would probably be a yellow most of the time. Every now and then a red, but every now and then a green too. I'd come down and decom. You know how I like to like decompress is like drink beer and eat hot wings and listen to heavy metal music. And
That's
that's
pretty
my
rad.
relaxation.
Mine is reading a book, like checking out a good TV program. Like right now I'm watching 12 Monkeys and it's awesome. So I don't know who else has seen it, but it's
Yeah,
really good.
you've been getting into the
Um
12 Monkeys.
it's really good. I just finished episode 9. I won't talk about it here though. But
Mm.
I'm thinking of starting something. But I'm curious if you would wear a wristband like that. I would. I think I'd like to know. My watch kind of does that. Like we have modern devices that kind of tell you, oh, your heartbeat's a little more elevated and things like that. Wellness is like an
That
interesting
seems
topic.
helpful.
Yeah.
Or you would know if you're stressing someone else out. Like sometimes
Right?
I'll
Like
be talking to someone about like, hey, did you see this last episode of Star Trek? And they'd be like, why won't this guy like shut up about Star Trek? And I would see it start to turn colors. I'd be like, oh, I'm probably bothering them.
Folks in the audience are saying, I love it when Tendi has to get physical, like when she has to do stuff. Yeah, she's pretty strong too. I guess maybe Orions might be a little stronger than humans, perhaps. But I
Noah
also like
Wells
that
is
little
just so she's so fantastic as I mean, like all these actors are really good at voicing these characters, but she's like really stood out a lot to me lately, and just there's such a level of sincereness to everything.
yeah,
And it's kind of like last week when she was being described as a a constant ray of sunshine and optimism or whatever, and I'm like,
it's
yeah,
true.
that is straight up Tindy. That's how people
That
feel
is
about you
Tendi.
too, Starfleet boy. You're kind of
Ah, come on.
the
Thank
delight
you.
and optimism at all times.
I just gotta paint my skin green, and then I'll be able to cosplay as like
You want to be an Orion boy?
an
We
Orion
should
boy.
do
Yeah,
at the next convention
100%.
that we go to. You should be green. I will spray paint. I spray painted Trek on the Tube's hair purple when he
That's
dressed
right.
up
You
as
did.
Boimler in Chicago.
You
So
did.
I can spray paint you too.
That would be awesome. Speaking of conventions, real quick, are you excited about New York Comic Con?
Yeah, we are going to get some big Trek news. I think we're going to have a big presence there with Picard, Prodigy, and Discovery. Maybe even some Strange New Worlds too. I don't think they've announced anything Strange New Worlds, but Sonequa is going to be there. The entire TNG cast is going to be there. That's
That's
exciting as
awesome.
hell.
Yeah, it's super
Then I
exciting.
think there's going to be some this is going to be shortly before the premiere of Prodigy, so I think they're going to be gearing up some Prodigy hype as well.
Yeah, I'm so excited about Prodigy returning. I love the little glimpses
Mhm.
that we got. We were talking about Goopy and Murph earlier, but yeah, there's a lot more excitement coming in Prodigy. So yeah, that there's
Yeah.
good
More
developments there.
Janeway,
More
getting
Janeway.
Admiral Janeway action. They showed a clip that we saw in Chicago, and then they showed the clip at Star Trek Day. Both of them featuring Admiral Janeway. So I think she's going to be a major player in these next 10 episodes of Prodigy. So that is really cool. People that want to see like the real Jane, the true Janeway that we haven't seen since Endgame in 2001. Well, we're getting her now. We're going to get plenty of her on Star Trek Prodigy.
Janeway's awesome. Yeah, I hope so. I hope we get some Janeway action in a 25th century show, should it come, and I think it might. I have a good feeling about
Kate
it.
Mulgrew, I think partly from doing Prodigy, but Kate Mulgrew at conventions and in interviews and stuff lately, and I just saw her a couple of weeks ago in Vegas. But she has this renewed appreciation of the character of Catherine Janeway, and she seems extremely gung ho about doing more and more Janeway stuff. So I definitely think if they do another 25th century show, which Terry has been talking about how he would love to do. I think if the reaction to Star Trek Picard season 3 is as big as it has the potential to be, people are really excited. Despite a lot of disappointment in season 2, people seem super invested in season 3. That's, of all the shows on the horizon, all the Star Trek shows, that's the one that has the most, I think, anticipation. So
Well,
if
when
it
Patrick
does,
Stewart said we're back in space, I can't help it. I got like so excited. Like, it's
yeah.
like yes.
So if that show gets that response, if and people love it and eat it up, I think it'll be like, Pike in season 2 of Discovery, when there's just like this huge demand, like we want more Pike on the Enterprise, give us Pike, give us Spock at #1 in the end. And so we got Strange New Worlds. I think there's a great shot at us getting a 25th century show, and I think it would be extremely appropriate and doable to bring in Kate Mulgrew. They need someone to be the big admiral, to be the big boss back at Starfleet HQ. Every show has to have like their Admiral Forrest type. We have April on Strange New Worlds. We have Vance on Discovery. So, Janeway would be a perfectly good option for this 25th century show.
uh Going back to the 25th century, even on the Picard side, Trek Central did post an exclusive article on September 15th saying that Todd
Mm-hmm.
Stashwick, and speaking of 12 Monkeys, because he's in 12 Monkeys as well, will appear in Star Trek Picard. He's awesome in 12 Monkeys. I just met his character.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about seeing him.
Can we say who he's playing?
Yeah, it says here that he will play the captain of the Titan. So
Of
yeah,
the
it's pretty
Titan
cool.
A.
Yeah, Titan
So
A.
yeah, he'll
And
be Seven of Nine's boss, I guess.
yeah, yeah, I guess so. And the article also
At
says
least
that
starting off.
apparently the Titan A is also going to be the hero ship of the story. So I'm excited about that. We've met our hero ship, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're gonna be spending a lot of time on the Titan A.
On Titan, yeah, Titan A. Very cool. So now we know when Riker's saying "Hello, beautiful," it's because he's saying it to the successor of his Titan, which is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
which
But
I
it's
think it's
interesting to
odd
find
that
out.
the new Titan gets an A. That kind of like not every ship needs it. Like they reuse names all the time. It should be like rare and special when they get an A. But I guess the
Well,
Titan qualifies.
qualified, yeah, I think so too. Stargazer didn't get an A, so you win
I
there.
know that should be the standard
You think,
going
yeah, yeah.
forward. That
So it looks like they're doing it right. Yeah, because Titan's Riker ship. It's a hero ship.
That's not a
Titan's.
hero show. Like, what was it? The hero, like some novels, a
You
bunch of
didn't
novels that aren't
see. We were
canon.
just talking about Lord X. You didn't see what he did in the Pac-Led stuff and like
The
all that
the
cool
Cerritos,
stuff.
the
Like,
Cerritos is the hero ship of Lower Decks. I agree. The Titan, it was a heroic ship. The ship
yes,
was being a hero, but it's the quote unquote hero ship. That's like your main ship. That's the
I know, but
Cerritos.
she's a hero ship. I would say in Lord X. Like when she appears, she's like she kind of like steals the limelight for a bit.
So when we have the brand logo at the opening of Star Trek Picard, these season 3 episodes, they have the brand logo. We saw it on Strange New Worlds. We saw it on Lower Decks. We're gonna see it on Prodigy, I assume, with the
It's gonna be
Protostar.
the
Will
it'll
they?
be the
They'll
Titan.
use the Titan. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be
If
right
they had
if
done
she's
it
the
for
hero
seasons
ship.
1 and 2, it would have been La Serena, but
La
we
Serena,
didn't do
yeah,
that back then. So
I know.
obviously,
Maybe we'll get
Discovery
it.
is gonna be Discovery.
I love La Serena. I'm looking over at my model every time I say it. I have to go look at her, but yeah, I love La Serena. So it would have been nice. But Titan's beautiful too. I really love Bill Krause's design, and
Yeah,
he's posted some really cool pictures so you could see it from different angles and stuff. So I'm excited about seeing her
yeah,
on
we like
screen.
it. We're fan.
Yeah.
We stand the Titan, even though I don't like it having an A, but. I'll stand it in spite of that.
Valamis says all Trek ships are hero ships.
Well, there you go. I stand corrected and relieved, like Pike.
Dang. What other news came out this week? Let's see. I think is there any other news that we were going to talk about? Audience, was there something you saw that you're intrigued by? We talked about gosh, we stuffed a lot in this conversation. We talked about comics, talked about this episode of Lower Decks. We talked about New York Comic Con, the exclusive about Todd Stashwick. So that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, someone was asking earlier if um, uh, you think that Seven's gonna go by Seven still, or will she use her? Is it a dead name? Like that was an interesting idea.
That's what I wanted to
Annika
ask
Hansen a dead
Terry
name?
when he was
Oh, were
watching
you?
our stream last week. We were like, someone in the audience give a question. Like, I just thought of like 3 questions, but that was one of the ones I had. But yes,
Oh, you
I'm
also had that
curious.
question.
Will she be Commander Seven or will she be Commander Hansen? She definitely seems to prefer to call herself Seven, but I don't know. What would you do if let's say that you're a writer on Picard season 3? Which one would you want to go with?
Seven,
People in the
because it's
audience, let
like,
us know your opinion too.
yeah, I would go with Seven just because that's like how everyone kind of knows her, and I think Seven in
Commander
the character.
Seven.
I also think there's something to be said about the character wanting to go as Seven as well. That's like the new version of, the latest version of her herself. You know what I mean? Like Annika may in
Right.
fact be someone who she no longer identifies with. Annika Hansen. So
Yeah, like that's like
uh,
a dead name is the
right,
I think
exactly. There's the term, yeah. So that's my instinct or opinion if I were writing it, but I'm not. So we'll be curious to see. But a lot of people are like a very, oh look, there's a lot of chatter about it too. So a lot of people are really curious about it. Yeah, so yeah, Linda points out she's not Annika anymore, and that's true. Although with Hugh got, it's interesting because like Hugh also, he's no longer 3 of 5. Was he 3 of 5, right?
right, but Hugh
So
is his
he
new
went in
name
a
that
different,
Jordy
yeah,
gave him.
that Jordy gave him. So 3 of 5 is his dead name, and he would be his name that he wants to be called by. So it's interesting that like that is an interesting concept that I'd never thought of about the Borg. But yeah, my bets are on Seven, Commander Seven,
Yeah.
which is a cool
But
name.
is Seven, what if Seven's supposed to be her first name and her last name is of Nine?
What if
But I
she
mean,
just
if you
doesn't
called her
have
like
a? What
Commander
if she doesn't
Nine,
have
that'd be dumb.
Commander Nine? Why? Why is Commander Seven
Or
better than Commander
maybe she
Nine?
uses Commander Hansen as like a professional name, but she's like, but my friends call me Seven.
Oh, that could be interesting too. That could be interesting. Well, her parents were in Starfleet, right? If I'm recalling correctly, they were scientists for Starfleet, or were they into
I don't think they were in Starfleet, but yeah,
Federation?
they were
They were
given that
Federation,
ship, the Raven.
right? Yeah, which is like a cool
Even
looking.
though that was even though that was before we had made first contact with the Borg and doesn't really make sense, but Star Trek Voyager was not always great with continuity, not good with the canon. I guess the Borg were just like a secret, right? Because then you also got to think in Star Trek Generations, the Elorians, Guinan's people, they just got like wiped out by the Borg. So it's like, oh well, wouldn't they have like told people on the Enterprise B about like, oh yeah, the Borg killed our planet. So was it like kept secret, and that's why they sent Seven's parents to go investigate, but no one really knew until Q flung the Enterprise over there. Then Picard came back and told everyone. I don't know. We can try to
I
headcanon that all.
I actually like the way you just like kind of like laid that out. That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. Our engineers reminding us that there were rumors of Borg on the outskirts of Romulan space. And yeah, like in season 1 of TNG, they have the destruction of the outpost along the neutral zone was implied to be the Borg did that. Because then when we meet the Borg in Q Who, they're like, oh yeah, it's similar to the attacks on the neutral zone.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, so they were kind of like, maybe the Borg didn't start out like behind the scenes as something they knew was coming, but it kind of nicely fits in. It's an accidental kind of an accidental arc or whatever, if
You know what
continuity thing.
my theory is? My theory is that Q always like kind of like liked humanity and wanted to root for humanity and disliked the Borg. And so part of him like trying to show Picard like you're not ready for what's out there and like presenting him to the Borg like that. Part of that was to help get the humans ready for the Borg so that so that they would be able to survive, you know, things like Wolf 359 and First Contact and all of that.
I'd say your theory is substantiated heavily by the some of the events in Picard season 2 because Q's world that he's trying to get Picard to like live in is like a human like dominating society that has just basically wiped out the Borg. So like maybe that's like there's some truth to that for sure. And then also you just get the impression that he really does like humans. He calls Jean-Luc his favorite. You know, he's like even gods are allowed to have their favorites. So yeah, there's definitely something there about humans. I always wondered, and it's I guess it's fine to leave it a mystery, but I always wondered if like maybe humans were somehow like in the distant future responsible for the Q somehow like maybe they're like in a weird way humans are the ancestors of the Q because once you become that powerful, you would like exist outside of time potentially, like they do in the continuum and stuff like that. So, who knows? I'm okay with never seeing that story pan out though, because it's kind of cool to have a mystery with like beings like the Q, right?
Yeah, I don't need the Q origin ever explained in canon. I think that would kind of demystify them.
But we will find out in season 3. Apparently, there are more Q things too. By the way, that reminds me, we're supposed to have like
Well,
one more scene or something like that.
yeah, John Delancey made it sound like that he shot something for season 3. So
Yeah, so that's pretty
I'm
cool.
curious to see that.
Valamis in the audience says, I always thought we should see more Q versus Borg stuff. And then let's see. There were Borg back in Enterprise second season. And there's another perspective where you can kind of like take certain factors into play and like use the time travel perspective of Star Trek. Star Trek doesn't do time travel as often as like Doctor Who, of course, but time travel is a big part of Star Trek, so you kind of have to take that into
For
effect as
sure.
well. So yeah, it's a good point about that Enterprise stuff, and that's a direct kind of like a consequence or causality of First Contact, which is kind of interesting and cool. You know, like showing these things. So yeah, I like whenever Star Trek kind of expands into these areas. But yeah, Father, I like that the Borg were probably a secret. Any chance we'll in your mind, do you want to see more of like whatever Agnes was involved with at the end? Borg
I
Girardi
do.
was involved. You do, right?
I was actually a big fan of that. I love the idea of in the Star Trek universe, we make friends with our enemies. You know, the Klingons were the big bads of the original series, and then a big part of the Next Generation to show how, you know, further advanced things had gotten was like, oh, now there's a Klingon on the bridge of the Enterprise. So I think that's really cool. I like that message. To be able to like become friends with the Borg, I think is kind of the ultimate because like the Borg were created to be like this unstoppable evil that you can't negotiate with, you can't reason with. Well, in Star Trek, there really shouldn't be something like that. You know, we should be able to empathize and become friends, you know, with like the Gorn, the Horta, all these strange new life forms. So why not with the Borg? I think her having like this faction of benevolent Borg, I think that's a really good thing. Something that they barely scratched the surface of in Picard season 2. So if not Picard season 3, somewhere down the line, I would love to have that explored further. I think that'd be really cool if there were like Borg cubes that we could like, you know, be allies with. That like, you know, they only her whole thing of like we only assimilate like, you know, like the dying or like the unwanted or whatever. We're not going to be like aggressively forcing people to join our collective. It's more of like you choose to be a part of it. I thought that was a great idea, something that I had thought of before. I kind of thought they might have been building up to that in Picard season 1 when it looked like Seven of Nine might become like a new Borg queen when she took over that cube
Oh, right
from
on.
the
Yeah.
queen cell. So I had the notion back then they didn't go in that direction, but then in season 2 they kind of did with Agnes. So I would love to do more stuff with that. And the lovely thing about having all this Star Trek in production is like maybe that's on the back burner for a little bit. Maybe we don't get that now. Maybe we don't see it in Picard season 3, but who knows? Like 10 years from now, maybe someone working on Star Trek will have an idea for that story and we'll see it then. So I'm a patient
Yeah,
person. My
same
patience
here.
has
I
paid
agree
off.
with
I've
that. I'm okay
so
with
yeah, I'm
not
I'm
following
always
up in season 3 because it's kind of a story that's on hold. I mean, she's a guardian. She even says it. She's like, we don't know what's on the other side, but we'll guard this passageway, and if anything
do
happens, we'll
think
let you
that will
know.
come into play though. I think
You
that
do
I
think
think
so?
that you can't rip a giant hole open in the sky and then just totally ignore it for 10 episodes and end your show. You have to tie that in somehow, right? So I think it will be a
Well,
factor. I just don't know how much time we'll spend with like the Borg aspect of it.
interesting. Interesting. Well, we're getting closer and closer to February, man. I'm getting so excited. Well, we're coming up to an
Yeah,
hour
enjoy
here,
the ride.
so
Enjoy the ride.
we're coming up to an hour
But
here, so our time's running out. Audience, if there's any last minute things you want us to kind of touch on, let us know. But it's been another wonderful Sunday stream here. Father, any closing thoughts on this week of Trek?
I will just say that it dawned on me, wow, we're almost halfway through Picard. I mean, not Picard. We're almost halfway through Lower Decks
Lower Decks,
season
yeah,
3. And yeah, and it's like, oh man, like the season has been really good. I feel like the show has just really had its stride. I love that second half of season 2 is just so spectacular. And then season 3 has been pretty good. So I didn't like this episode quite as much as the first 3, but I'm really, really excited to get back to Deep Space Nine in a couple of weeks. We know that there's some other big stuff. Peanut Hamper is going to show up at some point. Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Boimler movie episode. And then Mike McMahon always saves something big and special for the end
yeah.
of the season. So whatever they're doing, like the last 2 episodes, I know it's going to be a big and a swing for the fence. So I'm really excited as now we're starting to get into the second half of season 3 of in like these last 6 episodes of the season of Lower Decks, and then we'll have Prodigy. So we're gonna finish the year on some really fun animated Star Trek, and
Heck
that's
yeah.
I think that's a 2022 has been like a really good year for the Trek franchise. What Strange New Worlds. We had a new season of Picard. The end of season 4 of Discovery, which not everyone agrees. For me, that was my favorite season of Discovery so far. Was season 4.
Same.
Um, so yeah, I think this has been a great year, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the rest of Lower Decks and Prodigy and closing out hopefully a great note.
Me too. And folks, please consider subscribing to Trek Central so you can see me and Fathery. Also, don't forget to hit the like, smash that like button so we can confound the algorithm. And also, please share this stream. And we love hearing from you. We love interaction, so you can keep the interaction going on Twitter and also on our individual YouTube channels. You can find Fathery over at Text Trek. You can find me over on Starfleet Boy, and we do some fun streams throughout the weeks as well. So we hope you'll tune in to that. But if our captain behind the scenes is listening, I think if we've covered everything, it's time to wrap the show. Thanks for coming, everybody. Live long and prosper.